Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, the devotees. Hare. Initially our plan was to have the bhajan from 6 to 6:30, but then maybe everybody wants to chant, and if we are not so many of us, we can just start directly with Gaura Arati. That's okay? Okay, thank you. But in case you see that more devotees come, you can let me know. I'm in the kitchen and then we can have a bhajan.
Okay.
But I would let you peacefully chant now. Thank you.
closer here a little bit?
Closer? Sure.
I mean,
yes, I can actually sit there.
yeah.
Makes sense. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to Srila Prabhupada Memorial Festival. Apologies for this lag of about roughly 15 minutes. We were still thinking of whether or not to have the bhajan, then we thought, okay, it's nice to go ahead with the bhajan. I don't need a mic for the harmonium. Maybe Mridanga needs a mic. So we thought, as we have roughly 15 minutes, we could sing a bhajan entitled E Baro Karuna Karo Vaishnava Goshai. So this is a Bengali bhajan, and this bhajan describes the merciful Vaishnava. And as today is the 57th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's arrival in the US, then we were thinking that this might be a nice start to our meditation on how we can, we were discussing how we can really take Srila Prabhupada's help. So we will circulate this book, maybe Bhakti Johannes Prabhu can help us, and this song will be on page 33. So maybe you can give to everybody, and we can all open page 33. And this song is authored by Srila Narottam Das Thakur, in which he describes the glories of a Vaishnava. And he describes how the Vaishnava is savior of the fallen. A Vaishnava is a person, when you get close to such a person, all the sinful activities and sinful tendencies run away. Where will we find such a master? When one goes close to the river Ganges, one gets sanctified. But such is a Vaishnava that merely by seeing or a glance at a Vaishnava, one is purified. If one commits sinful activities or offends the holy dham, then what happens? One can chant the holy names for some relief. However, if one offends a Vaishnava, there is no relief. O Vaishnava, in your heart, Sri Govinda always resides. However, Govinda himself says that the Vaishnava is my heart and soul. I wish that every birth that I may take, I may have this great fortune of the dust of your lotus feet. Narottam fervently prays, O Vaishnava, please be merciful upon me. So this is a paraphrased understanding of this song. Authored by Narottam Das Thakur, officially known as Vaishnava Vigyapati. However, we also know it as E Baro Karuna Karo.
Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kasho Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kasho Shiva Jaya Jaya Gaura Chande Arati Kasho Shiva Jaya
Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON Sanstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Shalidas Thakur ki Prem Sagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Kedar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopavana Shamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki, Vrindavan Dham ki, Ayodhya Dham ki, Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki, Yamuna Mai ki, Ganga Mai ki, Tulsi Maharani ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Subhadra Baladevi ki, Shri Shri Gaura Arati ki, Gaura Premanande. Kirtan movement ki. Srila Prabhupada's arrival in the United States of America on this day 57 years ago ki. All glories to the assembled. All glories to the assembled. All glories to the assembled. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Hare Krishna devotees, thank you very much for coming to this festivities where we remember the 57th arrival of Srila Prabhupada in the US. Hari Bol. And we're very happy that we can hear now from His Grace Akhandadhi Prabhu, who is a direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada, and will share some of his memories and speak on this occasion. Thank you very much, Akhandadhi Prabhu, for coming. We will just look for a chair.
Yeah, we'll just go for the cushions and find. Oh, yeah.
It's okay if I put it here?
Yeah, that's good.
Shri Shri Jagannath Subhata Devi ki Shri Shri Gaura ki
Salakaya Chakshuram Udatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. So, you've had a double dose of festivities today, and it's wonderful to be here on the day that you've been celebrating Yas Puja for His Holiness Bhakti Churu Maharaj, who was, I'd like to, someone I admired very much, but someone who also was very kind and showed some friendship to me over the years. So he's one of the devotees we miss very terribly in this movement. But the task before me this evening has been to speak on the day the world changed. On this day, 57 years ago, the 17th of September, the world changed. Because this is the day that Srila Prabhupada first stepped off the boat, the Jaladuta, and stepped onto the land of America. And for him, this was the beginning of his mission. We could mark, and we do note, the 13th of August, the day that he got on the Jaladuta, because in one sense that was the beginning of his journey. But such were the troubles and the difficulties that he faced during that journey that the whole mission could have been extinguished, even during that 35 days at sea. But here we have Srila Prabhupada actually touching down, arriving in America. And what I would like to do is to explore what this means for us in our meditation on it by looking at what it meant to Srila Prabhupada to arrive in America on that day. And how do we know what it meant to Prabhupada? It's because the next day, on the 18th, whilst the boat was still at Commonwealth Pier in Boston, Srila Prabhupada wrote a very famous poem, Markane Bhagavad Dharma, which translates as preaching Bhagavad Dharma to America. And in that poem, he reveals so much of his thoughts and how Krishna responds to his thoughts and the realizations that he is getting in a dialogue with Krishna. So I wanted to explore that, and we'll go through the whole poem in a bit. But first we should appreciate many of the points that would have been in Prabhupada's mind on that arrival to America. Because, as we know from Satsvarup Maharaj's Nilamrita, it was a lifetime in preparation. So much led up to that moment for Prabhupada. So imagine when you have been working, planning, studying, doing everything that you can to make this happen, and finally you are there. There's so much emotions in that, and don't think Prabhupada was free from emotions. But his emotions were transcendental, and they would be conjuring up everything that had led him to that point. Probably the first one. I mean, there's so many. By picking out a few, I'm going to be leaving out so much of what must have gone through Prabhupada's mind. And I apologise for being even this presumptuous. But these are a few things that we can imagine, or would have been in his thoughts. The first would have been the order of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Particularly when they first met. And Prabhupada was taken by Narendranath Thakur there, and Bhaktisiddhanta said, "You are intelligent, boys. You should be preaching this message of Lord Chaitanya in the English-speaking language." So that was an instruction that stayed with Prabhupada, to preach Krishna consciousness in English. That didn't mean just speaking English in India. It meant speaking English to the English-speaking nations. And the next one was, Prabhupada notes many times that many of his godbrothers thought, let me go to London, England. That's the place to go. And of course, Bon Maharaj came there in the 30s and did a little preaching, and there was a little house even bequeathed to the Gaudiya Math in London on the basis of his preaching by one lady. But really, very little was achieved. I don't think Bhaktisiddhanta was so impressed. Prabhupada didn't believe that it fulfilled the mission that he had been given by Bhaktisiddhanta and what Bhaktisiddhanta wanted of his disciples. But Prabhupada chose not to go to England. He thought, no, I'm going to go to America. Now, there probably was reasons for that, because decades had passed. In the beginning of the 20th century, perhaps England, was a world empire. It still had all its countries intact. But by the 1950s, 47, India was given independence. Other African countries were following. It just looked like the whole British Empire was disintegrating. There'd been a world war, and although Britain always claims that she won the war, if it wasn't for America's help, it would have been a very different situation. And actually, it hadn't been for Russia's help, it would have been a very different situation. But that's history. But England wasn't the world power. London wasn't necessarily the centre. In fact, post-war, Britain was a very troubled, poor, struggling country. But America was the place where it's happening. So Prabhupada identified in America, where in America? New York. That's the place to target. That is he saw it as the driving capital of the new economy, the new kind of power that was kind of coursing through the world, economic power. So Prabhupada wanted to focus on America. And then there was another instruction that he received in 1936 from the spiritual master. If you ever get money, print books. And Prabhupada didn't get a lot of money, but he thought, still, that's not an excuse, print books. So during Prabhupada's sannyas time, he was
translating the Srimad Bhagavatam. He had a plan. It's going to be 60 volumes. That's what I'm going to need in order to do justice to the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he fought and begged and cajoled and went through so much in order to get the first 2 volumes printed of the first canto. But he wasn't going to go to America until he had all 3. He wanted a complete first canto in 3 sets, hardback printing. And printing books is a major endeavour. It's huge. Nowadays we have, print on demand, and anyone seems to do things. And even then it's troublesome. But printing in India, these books with no money, he would get a few rupees, he would buy just enough paper in order to get some more pages printed. And then while the printer was looking after it, he'd be going to find some more money, beg it from another donor or friend, and get some more. And meantime, he's still writing all the way through. He hadn't finished the manuscript of the 3rd one when he was still printing. He began printing it. But finally, he had 200 sets of the Srimad Bhagavatam, so 600 books. And that's what he decided to bring to America. And his friends were looking at him and thinking, wait a minute, what about other things you might need? No, books and and very little other personal kind of things. He would also have been remembering his frustration at preaching in India, in Delhi, in Jhansi, and so on, that although some people were receptive, they weren't deeply receptive. And the mission and the plans that he had for the League of Devotees, this didn't materialize. And that was India. How would it be in America? Would it be easier? These were kind of going through his head. There was trouble getting the visas, getting the passage, what he had to convince Sumati Moraji to give him a place on her boat, the Jaladuta. Things kind of fell into place eventually. But even when Prabhupada was leaving, he will have remembered everyone's negativity. Sumati Moraji, I'm not going to give you a passage on the ship, you'll die on it. You'll go over there, it'll kill you. Why would I want to do that to you? Have the responsibility of your death on my hands. So she wasn't very eager. I met Shishir Bhattacharya, who was one of the persons who was with Prabhupada when he got on the Jaladuta in Calcutta. He came to the Bhaktivedanta Manor some years ago, and we were talking, and he said, I was telling Prabhupada, you're not a Kirtan singer, like he was a great singer. He thought he had a great voice. He said, Prabhupada, you haven't got a great singing voice. You're getting on, this isn't going to work very well. I can't see this being very successful for you. So this was the mood that Prabhupada was getting from everyone, from his god brothers even. Why are you doing this, This is not what you should be doing. Crossing the ocean like this. This isn't the activity of a sannyasi. So you can imagine all that negativity. Really the only person who was pushing Prabhupada on was himself. Because he knew in his heart this was the thing. And he had been praying to, other devotees who were in Vrindavan at the time Prabhupada was living in Radha Damodar. They remember hearing Prabhupada's tears and crying at the samadhi of Rupa Goswami, just praying for his mercy that he could preach, that he could fulfill the order of a spiritual master. So it was entirely Prabhupada's conviction. No one made him come. No one encouraged him. No one helped him that much. Not enough to be able to anyone else to really take credit. This was Prabhupada and Prabhupada alone. Because it was Prabhupada and his relationship with his spiritual master. And on the journey, as I said, there was no surety that he would even make it. This is a small ship in rough seas. Actually, his heart attacks came in the Arabian Sea when they were going up that side of India before going into the Red Sea and then through the Suez Canal. So that's not the most vicious ocean on the planet. He still had the Atlantic to come. But Prabhupada had that dream that Krishna was rowing the boat and that everything would be okay. And indeed, when they got onto the Atlantic, it actually, as Prabhupada said, didn't show its usual face. And Captain Pandya's wife said, "Oh, this is wonderful, we struggled as always. We've never seen such a calm crossing of the Atlantic." So that was his journey. But then, after 35 days being at sea, taking shelter, as he said, of reading Chaitanya Charitamrita as a solace, feeling the separation. Here I am, just on this tin boat out in the middle of the ocean, being tossed around, not knowing where I'm going, why I'm going, what's going to be meeting there, and I have left Vrindavan. Can you imagine these feelings of separation that he must have felt? And the challenges, am I doing the right thing? Is this what I should be doing? But I think there was more to come, because he arrived on the 17th in the morning, and Captain Pandya said, "Hey, come on with me, we'll go out and see the town and go, I've got some shopping to do." So Prabhupada only had a few rupees with him, wouldn't be much value going shopping. There was nothing, but Prabhupada took the opportunity to, okay, I'm here, I better see what this place is like. People have told me, it's den of iniquity, it's Kali's kind of domain. What's it actually like? So Prabhupada had spent some hours then walking through Boston, seeing what it was like and seeing what the people were like and what they were interested in. And coming from Prabhupada's background and its wonderful training by his parents, his schooling, his years of living as a grihasta, his years of living as a mendicant, sannyasi in Vrindavan, and then confronting the chaos, and the atmosphere and the attitudes and the behaviour that he must have seen in Boston that day. With anyone else, we would have said this is a reality check. You've had something in your mind, but actually this is what it's going to be. This is what you're dealing with now. So Prabhupada had all of these things to weave together, and he did so in this incredible poem, Markandeya Bhagavad Dharma. Markan that's America, because in Bengal they used to import cloth from America, and they'd say, "Oh, this is the American stuff, American. So that's where Markan. So now America is Markan Yukto Rastro, the United States of America. So that's Markan. That's where it comes from. So this poem, I'm going to read the Bengali with apologies. And then the translation actually was not done by Srila Prabhupada. We know it in its English version. But this was done by a devotee called Jaya Sachinandana in 1976. He showed it to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada very much appreciated it and gave a few notes on the synonyms and also a little bit on the translation, but mostly on the synonyms. But he allowed Jai Sachinandan quite a bit of liberty, and I think Prabhupada appreciated how he had taken what are kind of sutras. It's very tight poetry. There's not a lot of words wasted. It's very tight. But Jai Sachinandan kind of pulls it out in a very nice poetic way. And we can take it that Srila Prabhupada is allowing him to do that because he felt that that is revealing something of his own mind. So, I believe that these verses come in couplets, in twos. And it's almost like Prabhupada is putting a question to Krishna. He is putting a question. It's almost like he's expressing his thought, maybe even you could say his doubt. And then the next one is where you can see Krishna has responded. And Prabhupada has, so that's the answer. That's how I meant to take that. So here's my, oh yes, I see now. This is how it's going to work. So it's nice to read the verses in these kind of joined up way, and that's is my opinion. So, Baro Kripa Koila Krishna Adamer Prati Kaila Gila Nila Heta Koro Ebigati. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, Adamer, is wicked soul in fact, but useless. But I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. So that's Prabhupada's reality check. I planned, I've become here, finally I'm here, but I see what I'm up against. I see the state of these people. How Kali Yuga has taken hold here. You know, you must have some reason. You know, I don't know why you brought me here. And then the next verse. Ache Kichu Karya Taba Se Anumane Nahe Keno Aniben E Ukarustane. And then he says, but I guess, Anumani, it's not really guess, it's the American guess, which means basically I've logically worked it out. This is the conclusion. It's not just, maybe, right? No, I've logically worked Anumana. You know, this is what I understand, that you have some business here, Karya. You've got something that has to be done here. You know? Otherwise, why bring me to such Ugra Stane? Horrible, terrible place, Prabhupada says. You know, this is terrible place. That's, you know, Prabhupada corrected Jai Satchidananda on that. He said, Ugra Stane, terrible place. You know, that's that's where we are. Why have you brought me to this terrible, terrible place? But you must have some karya, you must have some purpose, some business that you want me to do here. So, Rajastamo Gune Era, Sabai Achana, Basudev Kataruchi, Nahi Prasanna. Most, actually it's all Sabha, you know, of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied. And therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. So this is, again, Prabhupada. He's now seen the people of America firsthand. He's now understood this is Tama, this is Rajagun, Archana, immersed, completely covered. It's obsessed, you know, is another translation of Archana. Obsessed with it. It's not something that's accidentally happened to them. They're into this. This is what they love. Why? Because they're convinced it's going to make them prasanna, happy. So being absorbed in this, they think this is wonderful. America's prosperous. You know, it's got all these gadgets. It's, you know, there was so much productivity in the 50s and 60s. You know, it was the American dream. Prasanna. They're absorbed in thinking that this is everything. And being absorbed and thinking that you'll find happiness in material life, how will you become attracted to Vasudeva Katha, the messages of Krishna? How will you develop taste for the message of Krishna? So that's Prabhupada's next question. Taba idhari taba kripa hoy akuti Sakali sambhavahoy tumi se kautaki. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible. Sambhava, possible. Everything can become sakal, everything can become possible. Because you are, and this kautaki sometimes is funny or curious, but it's probably a lot of this translation here, because you are the most expert mystic. You're going to make arrangements. And it may seem curious, it may seem amazing, it may seem almost humorous, comical what you're about to achieve here in America. But you are the most expert mystic. So Prabhupada has expressed, here's the people, they're covered in this way. How is it going to change? It's going to change by Krishna, because Krishna can do anything. Therefore, why am I doubting? Krishna can do anything. He is the most expert mystic, Yogeshwara. He can handle all of this. And then Prabhupada says, Ki bhave bhujale tara bhuje se ras eta kripa koru prabhu kori nijabash. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Bhava, bhujale is understand. How will they understand bhava? The emotions. And of bhuje se ras, of your transcendental mellows. How will they understand? I'm not just telling them there is a God, you should worship God. I'm here to give them the highest transcendental understanding of the pastimes, the loving exchanges between Radha and Krishna in the spiritual world. I'm just not sure that these folk are going to get that. How is that going to work? So, how will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Oh Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I can convince them about your message. This is Vasudev Kata, this very, very high philosophy. And actually, there is nothing to compare with it anywhere in any other religion, ideology, or whatever. Nothing to compare with the mellows of devotional service as revealed with Krishna. But then the answer comes. That's my bit. Tumara ichaya sabahoya maya bash. Tumara ichaya nasha maya parash. Which is, all living entities have come under the control of the illusory energy by your will. So, Tumara ichaya, by your wish, by your will, everyone is in Maya Bash. They're under the control of Maya, the material energy. Then he says, Tumara ichaya, but by your wish, Nasha Maya Parash. They can be this kind of being captured by Maya's Parash. I think it's kind of realm or neighborhood or something along those lines. You're in Maya's world. So you can be freed. That can be destroyed. So you can be released from the clutches of illusion. So Prabhupada is saying, how are you going to understand mellows of devotional service? I can't understand. Oh yeah, of course. They're only under Maya because that's your arrangement. So if you make arrangements to free them, job done. No problem. So you can see the kind of exchange that is happening between Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. So then Prabhupada says, Tava icha hoy jadi tarera udar bujibe nichai tabe kota se tumar. He says, well, I wish that you deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only will they be able to understand your message. So Prabhupada is saying, okay, I'll do my bit. I want their deliverance. And if you desire their deliverance, and we know Krishna responds to the wishes of his devotees, then of course, then they'll be able to understand. It's not going to be by my power. The humility that Prabhupada is showing in these verses is just unbelievable. He's not writing this for the public. He's not making a show of his humility. This is his personal diary. This is his personal meditation. This is real. This is authentic emotions of pure humility here. He's not. He knows. He feels I'm not going to take any credit. I'm not going to be delivered. But I wish that they would be delivered. But therefore, it can be your desire, and then they will understand your message. So then the reply comes. Bhagavatara Katha se Taba Avatar Dira Hoya Shune Yadi Kane Bharabara. So then Prabhupada gets the clue how it's going to work. The words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submission and oral reception, then he'll be able to understand your message. So, Prabhupada is praying, if it can be your will to deliver them, then it can happen. And then he said, yes, actually, you are here. You have come to deliver them. You are here in the words of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Prabhupada. He knew, he understands it, But it's just a confirmation to Prabhupada that he's not alone in the preaching. That actually he is simply accompanying the incarnation of the Lord who has arrived in America. We'd say, here's Srila Prabhupada arriving on the Jaladuta. But Krishna has now arrived on the Jaladuta and about to step onto American soil in the form of Bhagavatara Katha, say Taba Avatar, in the form of the incarnation of transcendental sound vibration. And then Prabhupada mentions this, if a sober person hears it bara bara, again and again, continually, they'll become purified. And then Prabhupada includes some verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam to establish all of this. And remember, Prabhupada had been going over the first canto again and again and again because he had to read the proofs again and again, make sure they were correct at the printers, and he'd written these. So these have been deep meditations for some time. So I'm going to read, there's 5 verses, and I'll just read the Sanskrit and translation, because these are the verses that substantiate everything that Srila Prabhupada is experiencing at this moment. Shrinvata Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantashto Yabhadrani Vidinoti Saritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So Srila Prabhupada is just realizing, I'm here with Krishna, so all I have to do is just recite Srimad Bhagavatam. I've got to help people hear the messages of Bhagavatam again and again, and that will have the effect. Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtaki. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam and rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically destroyed, and loving service unto the glorious Lord who is praised with transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Now again, just by regularly hearing the Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada never makes reference to this himself, rendering service unto the pure devotee. Prabhupada simply saw he was the one rendering service unto the pure devotee, his spiritual master. But actually he understood that he needed to engage all those who were to hear the Bhagavatam in service, to get them to help him in what? In Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan mission. Tada rajastamo bhava kama lobaya dayashchaye cheta itaranavidam stitam sattve prasidati. At the time, loving service is established in the heart. Tada, something that's been mentioned. The modes of passion, rajas, and ignorance, tamas, and lust and desire, kama, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and becomes happy. So Prabhupada has already said, but these people are covered in guna, in rajas and tamas. How will they get it? Actually, by hearing the Bhagavatam, they become cleansed. They become established in sattva. And automatically they're becoming really happy because they're gaining attachment. And what is the quality of becoming free from rajas and tamas? That's in the next verse. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavat bhaktir yogata bhagavat tattva vijnana mukta sangasya jayate. Thus established in the mode of goodness, the man rejuvenated by loving service to the Lord gains liberation from material association, gets mukti, and comes to know scientifically of the personality of Godhead. That's the verse that talks about the science of Krishna consciousness again and again and again. This purport, text 20. And then Vidyate Hridaya Grant, and that's why Prabhupada realized this is Vijnana. I can present it as a science of Krishna consciousness. I'm not coming here just to give some religious message as many other gurus and sadhus might have done. I'm here to teach them the science of God. So Prabhupada is meditating and he's getting a clarity. You know, I'm sure that's been with him the whole clarity of where he's going on this. Vidyate hridaya grantis chityante sarva samshaya kshiyante chashyat karmani drishta ivatman ishvare. Thus the knots of the heart and all misgivings are cut to pieces. The chain of fruitive actions, karma, is terminated when one sees the self as master. So Prabhupada meditates on those verses. Then he says, Rajas tamo hate tabe paibe nishtar hridaya abadarasab guchibe tahar. So now I understand from these verses, from everything, you are the Bhagavatam, and therefore these people will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart. And that's Prabhupada's actual words there. He asked Jai Satchidananda to include it like that. All inauspicious things accumulated in the heart, in the core of the heart, will disappear. So this is a cleansing totally from within, to allow people to actually become free, to experience their real self in relationship to the Supreme Self, to understand their relationship with Krishna. And then the couplets continue. Ki kori bujavu kata barose chahi kudra ami dina hina kono shakti shakti nahi. How will I make them understand the message, this message of Krishna consciousness? Because now Prabhupada is not, he's already asked how will they understand, but he's saying how will I do it? This is personal now. Because he's saying kudra ami, kudra means tiny, insignificant. Dina, I'm fallen. Hina kono shakti nahi. So I'm not going to be able to do it without you. I.e., it's only by your mercy. I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. That's his meditation. And then Prabhupada again is getting the understanding of what Krishna is thinking. He says, Atacha enecho Prabhu kata boli bhare jai tomar icha Prabhu kora e bhare. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. So this is the understanding. You've brought me here, and I know that you want me to speak Vasudev Kata. I know you want me to speak on the message of the Bhagavatam. However, He's already said, I'm unfortunate, I'm unqualified, I'm the most fallen. So he's saying to, that it's now up to you. Now, my Lord, it's up to you to make me a success or failure as you like. The success and failure will not be Prabhupada's willing, I'm going to play my part, I'm going to do this, but the success and failure, that's entirely up to you, because without you, nothing will happen. And then here's what Prabhupada's offering. Akila Jagat Guru, Vajana Se Amar, Alankrita Koribar, Kamata Tumar. O spiritual master of all the worlds, I can simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. So, Prabhupada again, I'm just going to repeat your message. That's all I can do. But I'm not a great speaker, but you can make my power of speaking suitable. Alankrita, that's like alankar. It means decorating, it makes making nice, making attractive. So Prabhupada is saying, that's your job, Krishna. You've got to help make my words attractive to them. Because Taba Kripa Hale More Kata Shunya Habe Shunya Sabara Shoka Duka Jay Guchibe. Only by your causeless mercy will my words become pure. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will certainly feel engladdened and thus become liberated from all unhappy conditions of life. So Prabhupada is getting the message. Yeah, by your causeless mercy, my words can become effective. And this is giving him heart, giving him encouragement, giving him determination. I am sure that when this transcendental message penetrates their hearts, they will feel engladdened. This will do, They may think they're happy, but they're miserable. They may have all sorts of desires for this and that and for their material progress, but that when they hear this, they will actually understand this is where my happiness lies. And thus they'll become liberated from all shoka and dukkha, lamentation and misery and suffering, all their sadness. Aniyacho yadi Prabhu amara nachate, nacho Prabhu, nacho semate, kastera putali jata, nacho semate. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance, make me dance. O Lord, make me dance as you like. So, after expressing doubts, concerns, wondering how it would be all possible, Prabhupada has received encouragement, he has received guidance, and he's now saying, yeah, I'm here, I'm your puppet. Putali. Just, do whatever you like with me. Make me dance, make me dance, make me dance as you like. So, Bhakti Nahi, Veda Nahi, Nama Kubdharo, Bhakti Vedanta Nama Eve, Sartak Karo. I have no devotion, nor do I have any knowledge, but I have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna. Kubdharo. Prabhupada actually indicated that meant, in my mind, I have only great determination. That's what Prabhupada said he meant by that. In his mind, there is only great determination. So, that's great determination, simply to be the Kastara Putali, the wooden doll puppet of Krishna. And the last verse, last line, Bhaktivedanta Nama, Ebe Sartak Koro. This will also be in Prabhupada's mind. When he took sannyas and was given the title Bhaktivedanta, he is here bringing Vedanta in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadev's natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. But the commentary that absolutely reveals that Bhakti, devotion to Krishna, pure loving service to Krishna is what is at the heart of all Vedic teaching. And although it's hidden and or not clear in other shastras, and although it has been there's been so many bhashyas and interpretations people have given to the shastras to try and hide bhakti, the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition is bringing out that message of bhakti. And here is Srila Prabhupada given this title, and the lone participant in this mission to bring the bhakti message of Vedanta to the American world. So now, if I was given that name, well, maybe Sarthak, the artha can be given the purpose. Now that can be fulfilled. The real purport of that can be fulfilled. If you like, it's you can fulfill the real purport of Bhaktivedanta. Signed, the most unfortunate, insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, on board the ship Jaladuta, Commonwealth Pier, Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dated 18th of September 1965. That's Srila Prabhupada's meditation on that day. And I think that if each of us appreciate the enormity of what Srila Prabhupada achieved, even making it across the ocean, and the determination that was in his heart to help us, because arriving in America was just the stepping stone for Prabhupada to create a worldwide organization, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, whose work is only just beginning, because it will not be satisfied until the whole world is gladdened and liberated from their unhappy conditions of life. Now we may think that, okay, well, we've got a few temples here and there, some of them seem to be thriving, some of them need some rejuvenation, some projects are coming up, things are happening maybe in some places less than others, but still the material world is pressing on. And yeah, Kali Yuga is pressing on, but within that degradation, we've seen the signs that there is change, of people's awakening and need to awaken out of the miseries and the foolishness of their material life. It would be wrong to say everyone these days is prasana, obsessed with and happy in their material life. They're not. And it is up to us to pray to Prabhupada in the same way as he has prayed to Krishna, that please make our words, purify us so that our words can have effect. Help us speak in a way that is attractive and suitable for our audience. Please help us to set up arrangements by which these people can hear the Bhagavatam in association with devotees bara bara again and again, so that they can become purified. We can simply repeat the words of our spiritual master. We can be puppets in his hands, and just say, please, make us all dance, so that this movement that you came to begin can really fulfill the mission that you foresaw for it, and that the world can glorify our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, for being Bhaktivedanta, the person who has liberated the world and introduced us all to the pure devotion of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I think it's now time for prasad, so I don't want to. But up to devotees. They want to say anything. Anyone's realizations are
great. Akhandadhi Prabhu ki. Would anyone specifically like to ask any questions or share something?
Yes, I'm very touched the way you are a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So I feel very much that your feelings are very deep. So thank you that you are here with us, because that's the gift of Srila Prabhupada to us. That I wanted to say.
That's you're being too kind. It's actually the grace of being invited into a community of devotees and having association and being allowed to speak on Srila Prabhupada. That's me that's getting the blessing.
Thank you very much, Mother.
I just maybe have a little question. So, yes. Prabhupada just came by himself. I'm just wondering, is this by design, or is just, without any help? Is Krishna wanted to say something. Why didn't he got any help, from his god brothers? It's just,
I can only say, here's my opinion on that. That I think Krishna wanted to glorify Prabhupada because I don't believe any of his godbrothers took the, that's I don't want to be creating offences, but it's hard to understand that if any of his other godbrothers had developed the same deep determination that Prabhupada had, and that were willing to go through whatever it took to actually make the journey, prepared with the Bhagavatam, and to have these emotions that he has. And I think what Krishna is doing is two things. One, he wanted to glorify Srila Prabhupada above all others. But secondly, he wanted to help us understand what is at the core of our movement. It is that surrender, it is that devotion, it is that determination, it is that, in one sense, simplicity of just being utterly dedicated to spreading the message of Krishna in the form of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the holy name of Krishna. Because if Prabhupada had come with, funding from India and a whole cohort of helpers and been successful, then people would say, well, it's because they had money, it's because they had support, it's because they had people. No. No one can say that about Prabhupada's movement, that it's because of anything else other than devotion. Pure devotion, as expressed by Srila Prabhupada. There is no other cause at work here. And I think Krishna is just making that absolutely clear. That's the only cause for Krishna consciousness spreading. It's devotion. Nothing else will do it. So even sometimes we think, we wish we had more money, or wish we had more people. No. We wish we had more devotion. We wish we had more determination. We wish we were more in the mood of Srila Prabhupada. That's what we have to wish for.
Thank you very much, Akhandadhi. I would just like to extend our gratitude to you for gracing us with your presence on this very special occasion, which marks Prabhupada's arrival in the US. And you very beautifully pointed out, it's actually Prabhupada that accompanied Krishna. That's such a beautiful point for us to take home today. And it's his 57th anniversary, as well as another auspicious occasion of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj's 77th Vyasa Puja. And I would also like to thank all the disciples of Maharaj who put in effort. And I don't know if Govinda Prabhu, Vinda Paramataji would like to say some concluding words. Because today is a humble start, you could say an inauguration to Srila Prabhupada's Memorial Festival. So perhaps Govinda Prabhu, if you would like to just say a few words.
Thank you very much. I think everything has been said, and especially the ending I found very relevant. Actually, there is no material cause to it. There's neither money nor followers, nothing. It is actually the pure, beautiful bhakti of Srila Prabhupada. So in that it's very inspiring to hear, and that we always should remember and never forget. That's the only thing which we are striving for, and which will guarantee us success in the human form of life. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai, Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Akhandadhi ki jai, Jai Gaur Sitanath. So dear devotees, now we will honor Prasad. If you would please, if we can all honor the Prasad together. And Ajay Krishna, if I can please request you to chant the Mahaprasad prayers already. While we go out, we can all start chanting.
Sure.
Thank you very much.